Namaste everyone. This is M. Srinivasu, English faculty from DAV High School, Artapeta Township. Today I am here to explain the A reading of Unit 1 of Class 9, The Snake and the Mirror. And now we are in the fourth session of this particular unit. At first I would like to read the lines and then we will go for explanation of it. It was a hot summer night, about 10 o'clock. I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was familiar one. One could say that rats and I shared the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase, along with some shirts and dhotis. I also possessed one solitary black coat, which I was then wearing. Now let us move on to explanation point of it. And in the beginning we have seen it is quoted in the inverted commas. Representing any lines in the inverted commas tells that it is a direct opinion or direct words of the narrator. So here we have a narrator. In the earlier section we were discussed. We have a narrator that is homeopathy medicine practitioner. We can call him as a doctor also as well. He started narrating his experience to his friends that went on like this. It was a hot summer night, which was it representing the day that he is mentioning about. So it was a hot summer night. So the day he was representing with the pronoun called it was a hot summer night. Summer season, we know we have different kinds of seasons. So summer sometimes there will be a temperatures down also as well, but that particular day he was talking about, it was very hot summer. Rather when we compare with the previous seasons, previous other summer seasons, so this season, summer season is very hot according to him. And that was the night he was mentioned about. So it was a hot summer night. That was a summer season. And the season was too hot, and even the reflection of this summer hotness is also seen at the night when there is inconvenience and where they are not feeling comfortable. That represents that the hot of the summer, even it is seen at the night when the sun is off. That time also we could able to see that the hotness even in the night. And what is the time here was mentioned? It was about 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock generally at the night time it should have been cooled down, but it was not. It has been kept increasing temperatures, and it was he mentioned that it was 10 o'clock. So he started narrating that was a summer night and it was 10 o'clock approximately. He was started narrating himself. I had my meal. He was started going. We are representing he is a homeopath, we can call him doctor. So he had nothing but called I had my meal. So having meal where? At the restaurant. Restaurants means you know very well where we go and have our meal, even morning breakfast, lunch and dinner also as well for payment. When you pay, they will provide the meal. So he had his meal at the restaurant. Here one point we need to understand. So having a meal at the restaurant naturally representing that he has not married. That's reason number one. Because he was no other person there at home to cook him some meal at the night or breakfast or lunch. So having a meal at the restaurant tells that he was unmarried. Rather, we also can understand he did not make proper vessels for cooking at his home. So he had to go for a restaurant to have a meal. And returned after having a meal, he started back home where he was residing. Coming back to his room where he was generally residing. Next, what else? I heard a noise. So after coming to home, and he was added one more, I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. So as soon as he opened the door and he pulled this, opened these doors and all, he heard a noise from above representing that is nothing but called below the roof. He heard a noise. So what is that noise? We are going to observe that one next then. So before his arrival, there is something busy in the house. After he was got into the house and he identified that there was a noise that is coming below the roof. Next, the sound was familiar one. Familiar in the sense it is be aware of. Be aware of. It is known to him, or we can say known. The sound is familiar, it is known to him very well. What was the sound that has come when he opened the door? So below the roof, that is very, very familiar one. He was aware of it and it is known very well because it has been a regular custom. As soon as he opened the door, he could see or he could hear there is some noise below the roof. Now let us see. One could say anyone who observed that the noise and this man. So anyone who could observe, they could say rats and I shared the room. Nothing but called rats that are making noise as soon as he opened the door. That in the previous line he mentioned that is nothing but called rats making noise that he had seen. You might remember there are a different kind of names we had for the size that the rats and mouse. So mouse which are little smaller in size, rats which are little bigger in size. Please make it a note of it. Mouse is singular, mice is plural, rat is singular, rats plural. These are little bit bigger. So now coming to this, rats are living in the house along with him. That's what we say. And he also mentioned, I shared the room along with the what? Rats. So rats also there, and rats also creating menace in the room where he was also sharing the room, living there. Now coming to the next one, I took out my box of matches. Nothing but we call as matchbox. Took out, if you can see the word that is given in the past tense, that is nothing present tense is take. We can talk about take out or took out. Both of them are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. What are phrasal verbs? Phrasal verbs are combination of verb and preposition or a combination of verb and adverb that give different meaning rather than meaning of the verb in the word provided. So I repeat once again, phrasal verbs are the combination of verb and preposition or verb and adverb. They give different meaning rather than meaning of the verb in the word provided. So took out is nothing but called open meaning or remove, one more there. So now here we can take contextually, open is a correct meaning contextually. So he said, I took out my box of matches. So you can say he opened his box of matches. And what did he do with the match of boxes? And lighted the kerosene lamp. So you can identify in the earlier times when there was no electricity, people were using these kerosene lamps to light at the night. And before they go to bed, generally they put off the particular light because of the smoke it emits. However, he took out the matchbox and he lighted the kerosene lamp which was on the table. Naturally, we place it in a corner in the villages. We observe it. Whenever we see it was on the table, I feel that he is going to have a reading or any important book, or he wanted to read sometime before he go to bed. So he wanted to light a kerosene lamp on the table to proceed for his reading. So that is why he kept a lamp on the table, and that was lighted now. Now coming to the next lines provided. The house was not electrified. Electrified in the sense it is supplied power. So electricity. So no electricity there in the house. That represents that earlier case what we have seen, there were many rats in the room. And the other case we have seen, he was using the kerosene lamp. And he was also having a meal in the restaurant in the first line. Having observed all this one, we identified that he was not the owner of the room, he was maybe the tenant. So as he was not cooking well and he is not had any electricity in the room, and even more, there are more rats are there, and rats are creating menace, but he could not take care of them all. That means that he was living somewhere other than his own house. So the house was not electrified, so it was not supplying any electricity, so it was not electrified. Now it was a small rented room, he said very clearly. He was living in a rented room which was very small. Small in the sense it is not accommodated for more number of family members, like less, like one or two can make themselves more comfortable. So that's why he mentioned here is it was a small rented room. So he was a tenant in someone else's house paying rent. So he said very clearly the room where he was now living, and he also said that the rats also are sharing portion of his own room, and he and rats are living together. That particular one was a rented room where he was living. That means obviously he was not the native of the particular place. Coming to the next one. I had just set up. Set up means establish. So as I told you earlier, this is also phrasal verb. What is a phrasal verb? Phrasal verb is a combination of verb and a preposition, or a verb and an adverb, that generally give different meaning rather than the meaning of the verb provided in the line. So it was, he said that I had just set up. Set up means establish, start. What did he start? A medical practice. So he had just set up a medical practice. Who generally start medical practice? Generally, if you are a doctor, they start the medical practice. So he was a homeopathy practitioner, he was a doctor. So he was just set up, just representing, you can say recently. Only recently he started his medical practice. That's why he was having his meal at the restaurant, and no proper house that maintained well, and the room was not electrified also, clear. Now, and my earnings mean whatever that you are earning out of any job is nothing but called, so nothing but you can say money that you are earning doing any job or a work is nothing but called earning. So he did not say that is some salary or something, so it is his own medical practice, and he said my earnings were meager. Meager means very small, not that much. That means he was not a well popular doctor and had some assets behind him by his practice. He was just to set up medical practice. Since he was a person with a meager earnings, so he said very clearly he was existing with very meager earnings out of his practice because he was recently set up his medical practice. You may be confident that you would be earning more whenever he start practicing better in the future. So he said very meager, very little money he is earning. Now coming to the next one, I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase. How much money he said? 60 rupees. 60 rupees, nothing but called very little amount nowadays when you talk about. But in those times it might be good amount. Maybe it is sufficient for him to have a meal at the restaurant or breakfast and to see some other required things. So he had only 60 rupees. That means very less amount. We need not to think otherwise. So he had said that I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase. 60 rupees generally we leave them in the shirt pockets or somewhere, but he kept the 60 rupees preserving themselves in the suitcase. That tells that it is very worthy amount that he requires them well for his regular routine. So he has 60 rupees in his suitcase. Along with what? Already had 60 rupees plus what else? Along with some shirts and dhotis. Shirts you might know very well. Professionals generally they need to have their formal dressing. So shirts also are worn by the doctors, or dressing generally give them good impression. So that tells that he had shirts there in his suitcase and some dhotis. Dhotis are generally white wool cloth that are there. In a Hindu tradition, people generally wear dhotis at the night time or whenever they are attending puja and all. So that maybe dhotis are kept in the suitcase by the narrator or the doctor we had. Now coming to this one, I also possessed. Possessed means own, or you can say have, to have. So he also possessed or have or own one solitary black coat. Solitary means single. Single means one. Or also you can have another meaning, enjoying alone. You can say one more. So he is only person wearing the same black coat. So he say that it is a single black coat that he was possessed, or that single black coat that he was enjoying alone. No other person is competing him to have the coat there to wear and to go out. So he was nothing but what else we understand? He is only one person living in the room. No other person. Generally in the bachelor's rooms, they will be going, sharing their shirts and other dress materials. Here what else? He was only the person that indicated that the solitary black coats. Generally coats are shared whenever they are required by the friends in the room, but he was only person living. That's why he said it was only solitary black coat which I was then wearing. Wearing means whenever he was going to have practice, he may be going in his coat to resemble like a professional and to continue his professional career perfectly. So that tells that he was wearing a coat and moving forward. And this is the entire 2-paragraph worthy interaction. My dear students, please watch repeatedly to understand it well. And in the further session, we will move forward and to get the more understanding about the remaining lines. Now what do? You read these lines of your text more thoroughly and practice 2 pages of your cursive handwriting to make it your handwriting more elegant. And we'll meet in the next session, my dear students. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rama.